I do think that in general, even if men are unpalatable in the way they appear to the world, it is excused. People may complain, people may push back, but they're still allowed to do it.
You know what I thought of? The first thing that came to my mind was the dad bod.
Okay, share.
There's no mom bod. If you have a mom bod, they're going to sign you up for
the mommy makeover,
a diet, right? They're going to send you all this toxic weight loss stuff. I mean, no, it's not, people don't look at my body, your body, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen your body. I only can see your head, but it's like,
do you have a body? Are you not just a floating head? Next week, find out on Drinks with the Girls. Y'all, I'm sorry. Like, this was supposed to be like, a relatively straightforward, serious topic, but we're clearly in the mood where we're just buckle up. It's just going to be that kind of an episode.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. We are here tonight to talk to you about something that is kind of hard to talk about at this stage in life. We're going to talk about finding purpose and meaning in midlife. But before we get into it, we're going to tell you what we're drinking. And I
found my glasses, at least.
Oh, yeah, you can see me.
I know. I was like, wait, I'm missing something. I need to find something. What is it? Oh, I know.
Oh, my glasses. Yay. I'm a broken record, but I'm drinking my Pierre's Paloma
I gotta try that.
Hard seltzer. It's so good. If you like grapefruit flavor, it's very delicious and refreshing. And I hope I don't burn out before summer because this is going to be my summer drink.
I live me a grapefruit. So is it like, so what makes it a hard seltzer? Like is it like a kombucha kind of a thing or?
Hard seltzer with grapefruit. It's not a kombucha, no. But seltzers, I'm not a fan of seltzers per se. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's sparkly?
It's bubbly, yes. It's yes, light.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
What are you drinking?
I'm going back to an old favorite, Sparkle Hops. Love it. I like the ACI flavor a little bit better, but this one's good too. And I found a stash, and I was like, "Ooh, adaptogens, calm, chill,
nice.
Calgon, take me away."
So today we're going to talk about some things, and I'm actually kind of excited about this episode because I've really been struggling with not so much the purpose, like what is my purpose now, but like the identity shifts. We're like shape-shifting throughout the years, right? I'm 57 and I feel like I've just shape-shifted so many times and, some good, some bad, but I really want to dive into that.
I get it. I kind of samesies. I mean, I'm pretty clear on my purpose.
What's your purpose? What is your purpose?
Now you gotta freaking ask me, and I'm gonna be like, No, I mean, I know that I'm put on this earth to bring a little light and love in the world, and either big or small in some kind of way. I mean, I wake up every day and I'm like, if I can make someone laugh or smile or make somebody's life a little better, check. I have contributed to the bank of positivity in the world. And everything I do is from that. Now, that's not to say I wake up every day and I'm like, little Mary Sunshine, puppies and unicorns like spilling out of my butt like water. Like, no. But I think that as long as I concentrate on, I would like to be an addition to the positive bank rather than concentrating on life sucks and everything's, because that's, let's face it, pretty damn easy to do these days. But if I can just think about like, okay, what's one thing that I can do that's positive? What's something I can do to uplift someone? I don't know, sit there and plan it. It's just like That's kind of just what anchors me. And everything is kind of a variation of that, you know?
Yeah, I like that, and I kind of feel the same at this point. Like, when I was younger, I felt like purpose was like this thing that you have to aspire to, and it's really cool if your purpose is your job,
Yep.
right? If in your job you are doing your purpose. But, then life goes by and life happened, and you realize
Not so
sometimes it's
much.
sometimes it's okay to do things just for fun, like a fun
Mhm.
hobby, and it doesn't need to turn into a business or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that that's the beauty of getting older is realizing your purpose isn't necessarily this thing, like what you
Yeah.
do, but, like, to your point, it's who you are. It's how you show up in the world. And I like that idea because I feel like my purpose is to raise good humans. I think through my work, through this podcast, through raising my kids and grandkids, just hopefully make an impact in big and small ways, hopefully for the positive
Yeah.
also.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Oh
What's
boy.
the difference? Settle down. What is the difference between purpose and identity? Are they two separate things or are they the same thing? I am not
Oh,
asking because I know. Let me clarify by saying I do not have a pat answer, but it occurred to me that that might be something we want to think about. Like, are purpose and identity the same thing?
no,
Okay.
definitely not.
Okay.
See, I know the answer to this.
All
So go
right.
ahead.
Well, thank God we have one freaking brain. Okay, so tell me, what's the difference?
Your purpose is this thing that God or universe, whatever you believe in, it puts this inside you divinely. So, we have these gifts, we have talents, we have interests, we have likes, desires. And I feel like our purpose is all kind of wrapped up in that. Like, that's what we are put on earth to do.
Okay.
And
Agreed.
whether or not that becomes, whatever it becomes, flying to the frickin' moon. Oh my god, are you as obsessed with Artemis 2 as I am? Oh my god, I cannot get enough of them.
I am not, only because I have a billion balls that have taken me away from focusing on that. And to be completely honest, without going down a rabbit hole, I'm really trying very hard not to be up on the news these days. So,
Okay. Well, when you want some fucking joy, dabble.
all right.
Just go on NASA's Instagram and scroll back to when they took off, when they're up there. I mean, do you know they named a crater after one of the astronauts' wife who is deceased?
I mean, sort of, kind of, but literally, and it's horrible, right? Because I don't want to throw the good out with the bad, but I'm just getting so disgusted that
Yes.
I just was like, you know what? I just need to unplug from the world.
Yes. And I'm here for that, girl. I am here for that. So no shame at all. But when you want to smile, when you
That's
want
a
to
good
fucking
one.
feel good, when you want goosebumps, go check their journey out. Go check out them as people.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair.
never, ever, ever, and especially because while they were up there, shit was going sideways here. And we weren't sure what was going to be happening here. For me, that was like a really, really good little break.
Nice,
But
nice
anyway,
diversion.
yes,
Okay.
that's not what this is
But
about.
you still haven't answered my question, girlfriend.
But, well, I'm trying. I was talking about,
Okay,
if your
fine.
passion is being an astronaut and going to the
Okay.
moon or whatever.
Okay.
But is being an astronaut your identity? No. Your identity is the whole of who you are. It's the whole of everything that makes you you, and that shifts over time. Lord, how I know it. My identity has shifted and shifted and shifted over the past probably 15 years mostly. And sometimes those shifts are really hard. Sometimes you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, who the fuck am I?
Yep.
Because you are shape shifting into a new identity. But I feel like your purpose is always constant. It's always in you. I mean, it might morph a little bit and grow and change, but it's always there.
Well,
Does that
and
make sense?
it does. Look no
It doesn't
further.
answer your question. I can tell by the way you said that.
No. Oh my God, she's so judgy. No. I was
Judgy.
simply pointing out that on the episode we did with our good friends on the Living Abroad panel, it turned into a discussion about identity that I don't think any of us were ready for. So that was kind of cool. I'll link that in the show notes. So what I was getting ready to say was, I feel like there's kind of the holy trinity here, because we've got purpose, we have identity, and then we have meaning. which I think is something different altogether. And to be completely honest, that's the piece I've been really struggling with, because purpose is something that comes intrinsically from you, right? Like you have an idea, and maybe you don't have an idea of your purpose, right? But when you have a purpose, it's something that you believe in, you're passionate about, blah, 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 right? Identity is more about how society sees you and therefore how you see yourself. I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm
Oh.
a that.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
as a role, right? Like
Okay.
where you, I'm not saying, hold up. I'm not saying that society is the only arbiter of what your identity is. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about where the roles that you play in the world, right? And what
Okay.
that looks like. And that
Okay.
society can have input in that,
Okay.
right? In terms of how you relate to society. Oh, hail
Yes,
to the no.
that works.
So ergo, A plus B does not equal C. Meaning's a whole different ballgame, because meaning can be like, do I mean something to the world? Like, do I feel like I mean something to the world? It could be, does society think I have meaning in the world? It's a whole different issue. And I would argue that that's kind of the intersection of where we sit on this podcast, right? And what we are trying to do in terms of providing a dialogue about that, right? So in terms of what I'm struggling with meaning right now, I feel like my life is whack-a-mole at the moment, and I am, to mix my metaphors, I am plugging so many holes with my fingers, my 11 fingers that I don't have, and just like sitting here like anticipating which hole is going to blow and making sure that all the plugs remain active. That's literally what I feel like. And it's this, like, I was talking about this with my therapist the other day, and I'm like, I want to get off the hamster wheel, and I can't, because I have to keep these balls in the air going, because it's not like, hey, I want to go blonde, or hey, they're not like, oh, that would be fun. They're like literal shit that could hit the fan. And how do I give myself a break from that when it's just freaking unrelenting? And how do I make it about the meaning that I want to have for myself, not what society has for me, which I feel like is just getting duct taped to me lately, if that makes sense.
I think as women, that is something that is a lifelong struggle, because society loves to tell us what our value is and
Mhm.
what is meaningful or what is not meaningful, right? And I'm just flashing back to when I became a stay-home mom, that was a whole thing too. Talk about identity and
Mhm.
meaning
Yep.
and value, because society, what does society tell you? I mean, on one side, society likes to talk out of both sides of its
Oh,
face.
100%.
On one side, it's like, "Oh, isn't that great? You're staying home to raise your kids." And on the other side, it's like, "You loser." Yeah, correct. And I think too, especially being a girl of the '80s, being a Gen Xer, kind of growing up with, "You can do it all."
Bullshit.
Right? Who wants to do it all? No, not me. And I also happen to be in the circles of very high functioning women, like the women who were working full time, killing it, in the PTA meetings, on all the boards, and doing all the things. And so I felt like I had to do those things too, because I wasn't quote unquote working. So I was, joined all the boards and got on the PTA and was the class mom and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I was so involved in my kids' lives. And also that became my identity.
Mhm.
And then what happens when that goes away?
Yep.
What happens when they're, 15, 16, start driving, start being independent, and then go to college and leave the nest? Then who the hell are you?
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was my first major, like, identity shift. And the meaning piece,
Mhm.
like, I have no meaning. I have no value, because what am I contributing?
Yeah.
0 things,
Yeah. Well,
which is fucked up.
I'd argue with that, but that's a whole other
Well,
topic.
yes, but no, I mean 0 things in, like,
Yeah.
quote unquote 0 things.
Well, and here's a weird one for you, right? So shifting identities, and then there's me, who's gonna be mom, with someone pretty much within my orbit for the rest of my life. And don't get me wrong, I love that kid. I love him dearly. He cracks me up. He's such a sweet pea. I could just go on and on and on about what he's done. I mean, for both my kids, right? Any mom could. But the idea that that identity will not shift. I will never have a truly empty nest. And what does that mean? Right? And I'm not like making a judgment call. I'm not saying like, oh, my life sucks or yay. It's just, it's different.
Yeah, I'm flashing back also. Again, thanks for all the flashbacks.
Oh, just, easier than taking acid. I don't know why I said that. I've never taken acid in my life. Anyways,
Me neither.
yay, Mark safe from taking acid. Drinks for the girls, drug-free podcast.
I wouldn't say drug-free, but acid-free.
Hey, I was not the one that was imbibing the THC drink in that episode, whenever the hell that was.
Oh my God, that was our We Do Not Care Club episode. I remember vividly.
Okay,
Yes.
but if I could just go on a tangent for a second, here's the hysterical part. That is our number 3 most downloaded episode and is probably on its way to being our most popular episode ever. I could go so many ways with that. So apparently what we've learned from that is we talk about influencers and famous things and we drink THC drinks. So I don't know how we're going to top that, but there you go.
People like me high, evidently.
And clearly I was missing out.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers. I think what has to happen when we talk about identity and things like this, because when my identity shifted, after being, for a stay-home mom for 17 years and then having to figure out, well, who the hell am I now? I got to create myself.
Mm-hmm.
I started a blog, I started a business. I started writing. I just started, doing all these things and kind of morphing into somebody else. And I think you're going to have to figure out how to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, mom. I mean, we will all always be mom if you're a mom, but what else am I? What else do I want to be? What else am I throwing into the mix?
Yeah. I resonate so much with this idea of the identity that society wants you to have, the kind of meaning that society wants you to have. Without getting into specifics, because I could get into trouble, I've really been experiencing lately this idea of getting pushback on my intelligence. Dumb it down. Don't say those things. Don't be controversial. Don't let it out that you know more than somebody else. I'll just leave it at that, because if I get more specific, I'm going to get into trouble. And it is frustrating as hell.
That's so annoying.
It is so annoying. And I have wonderful girlfriends, and I'm so grateful for that. I have one girlfriend in particular, shout out to Cynthia. And we talk about this a lot. Being in essentially corporate America and what kind of, how we have to dim our light a lot of times. And it's frustrating. But it's also not cut and dried, right? Like, I can't be like, I'm going to rail against this because, need a job, need benefits, all those things. So, I would argue that taking a corporate job means you are dimming your light in a lot of ways because, you're working for a corporation. You're not working for yourself. But it's unreasonable for me to say, well, you don't have to do that. You entrepreneur, Karen. Because you have to make choices too in terms of like, we've talked about this, right? Social media, how you appear, like all these things, right? So I can't just say, oh, that's like corporate America, but it really frustrates the living shit out of me because I feel like, again, if I was a guy, this would never even be on the table.
That is the beautiful thing, though, about getting to your 40s and 50s is you start to, like, not that it makes situations like that less frustrating, because it definitely does not, but you really start to understand what's at play. You start to understand, what is going on, and how do I wanna be in this situation? Yeah, I think it's incredibly frustrating that we do not truly get to be our full selves because right out of the gate, society's telling us who to be and what is valuable,
Yeah.
right? And being a smart, outspoken woman in a corporate environment is definitely not one of those things that's acceptable.
Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's like she lives all the way across on the East Coast, and we spent a weekend together in January, I think it was, and it was the best thing ever. I didn't have to edit myself. I didn't have to be anybody other than who I was for, like, 2 days, and we were both just like, "God, this is so relaxing. This is like a spa day," you know? Because even when I'm back home, and, I mean, I love my family, but I can't be who I wanna be all the time. And that was just, oh my god, that was like freedom, man. Talk about, like, identity and really leaning into just the purity of who I absolutely was just incredible, and it's intoxicating. I think that's part of the problem is now that I have a taste for it, I'm like, "Hold up. I want more of that."
And the whole time you're talking, and you're not alone, by the way, like this situation is not uncommon. And that's why we have girlfriends, and that's why we have drinks with the girls. So we have spaces that we can be our authentic selves. We can let our hair down and talk about all the things we're not supposed to talk about, or be the way, maybe we have to keep under wraps because it's not totally acceptable. And that's so sad. It is so
Yeah.
sad to me that women, we cannot be our full selves 100% of the time.
Yep.
We're always having to monitor what we're wearing,
Mhm.
what we're saying. Oops, did I say fuck too much?
Yeah.
How we're showing up, what choices we're making, how loud we are, how we laugh. Like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And it's so fucking sad.
And it's interesting to me because Karen and I were having a conversation before we started recording about an episode that we're thinking about doing connected to the manosphere. I'm not even gonna touch the depths of that right now. But I do think that in general, even if men are unpalatable in the way they appear to the world, it is excused. People may complain, people may push back, but they're still allowed to do it.
You know what I thought of?
I can think of so many things, but I'd love
I
to know
thought
what you thought of.
the first thing that came to my mind was the dad bod.
Okay, share.
There's no mom bod. If you have a mom bod, they're gonna sign you up for
The mommy
a
makeover.
a diet, right? They're gonna send you, all this toxic weight loss stuff. I mean, no, it's not, people don't look at my body, your body, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen your body. I only can see your head, but it's like,
Do you have a body? Are you not just a floating head? Next week, find out on Drinks with the Girls. Y'all, I'm sorry. Like, this was supposed to be like, a relatively straightforward, serious topic, but we're clearly in the mood where we're just gonna like flirt with everything. So just buckle up. It's just gonna be that kind of an episode.
but seriously, have you ever seen a mom? Because you know what a dad bod is, right?
Oh,
They have a
yes.
belly.
I'm
Yeah,
aware.
okay. Nobody's toned or firm or any of that. They're just this cute, jolly dad, right?
Santa Claus without the beard, white beard, and the suit.
Yeah, maybe not quite Santa Claus, but on your way to Santa Claus.
Santa Claus adjacent.
Right. There is no mom bod, because if we have something that's close to a mom bod, that either means, we're aging, look out, or we don't fit into the toxic beauty standards of a size 2. Yeah, we won't even go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, that's just what I thought of first. There are tons of other.
Many examples.
Let's talk about relevance and how, as women, especially as we get older, society tells us we become more irrelevant. So this,
Or
to your
your
point,
15-year-old daughter tells you that you're irrelevant. Mom, you don't know anything.
teenagers.
That's a whole other topic. Anyways,
I'm so
continue.
glad I don't have one right now.
Girl, I am I am like, my God.
It's not okay to be
Anyways,
raising teenagers when you're going through menopause.
like some hormones are entering the building and some are exiting the building, and it is not a good intersection. Anyways, moving on.
No. So, do you feel relevant at 57? Or are you 58? How old are you?
I'm 57. It's an interesting question. Yes, but. Yes, I feel relevant, but I feel like I have to constantly fight to make myself relevant and fight so I am not othered. Like,
Mm,
no one's going to help me.
no.
It's all on me to be relevant and to prove that I am relevant and worth attention.
Mm.
And
How
like,
do you
don't be too like, don't want too much attention. Don't want that. Right? So it's like that speech that America Ferrera gives in Barbie, right? Where she's like,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
have to be skinny, but not too skinny. Like, I mean, that's
Mhm.
genius. But yeah, I mean, you're constantly like, when you talk about the shape shifting, like, okay, too much, too little, like,
Yeah.
really?
And I think, unfortunately, because it's not about the actual question, am I relevant? Like, of course I'm fucking relevant. I'm a human being
Yeah.
taking up space in this earth. So, yes, that makes me relevant. But I feel like as a woman, as a 57-year-old woman, I have to scream. And this is, I think,
Yep.
like what you're talking about, the attention. But it's like I have to say, here I am. I'm still here. Don't try to put me in a box. Don't
Yep.
try to call me, grandma, even though I am a grandma. But don't you give. It's like the word bitch. It's like I love the word bitch, and I call my besties bitches. I call my daughter bitch. Sorry, I might get some shade for that, but it's just a term of endearment with the people I love. So, but you don't get to. Nobody else gets to call me bitch. Well, you could, Lisa, because we're. But you, the like generic random person,
Yes.
you don't get to call me a bitch,
Well,
right?
it's about you get to choose
Correct.
what that word means.
Yes.
It's not, people don't have the choice to make it pejorative
Yes.
in reference to you.
And the same goes with, am I relevant? Right? It's like society doesn't get to tell me. I get to say, I'm a grandma. Yes. Woo.
Yep.
Look at me. Society doesn't get to say, oh, she's doing grandma hobbies. Oh, God, that drives me insane. She's doing grandma hobbies or dressing like a grandma or, using it in that negative tone. I'm not here for that.
Agreed.
So there's something that we don't really talk that much about as women in our 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And that's the grief piece with all of this. Like grieving the identities that we have grown out of, grieving the women that we used to be, grieving the way that our life maybe didn't turn out the way that we thought it would, or we're not the person that we thought we would be. And that grief is heavy.
Grief is heavy no matter what. Well, and when I was talking about the whole dim my light thing, like, I don't know, maybe I'm at the anger stage in the grief piece of that one, Yeah, it's an interesting question because it's like, quote unquote, grieving your 20-year-old body, right? But I wouldn't want to be 20 again. I don't know about you, but hell no, right?
No.
So it's like, I don't know how to explain myself. Help me.
Well, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I'm like,
Come on now.
like I like to do. My brain just whoop always goes back like 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And I remember when we first moved here, so about 4 years ago, we first moved to Fallbrook, and I was still in the middle of traumatic experience because my stepmom had a stroke. She was bedridden. I moved down here to be a little closer to them, help my dad, help her, all of it. And up until that point, I was living in my own. I had been in survival mode since my divorce. My marriage started unraveling, which is maybe circa 2015. And so in that space, I became this woman who just really thrived on taking risks and just doing bold things and making bold moves. And I would write about that. That was part of, my blog and empowering women and all that. And then when I moved here, even though I was still kind of in the midst of some trauma, I really stepped into ease. I became more comfortable with this ease-filled life versus this, oh my God, I'm going to go
Yeah.
shoot a gun and I'm going to
Red
go.
alert all the time.
Totally. And not necessarily in a bad way. Like I
Yeah.
was doing fun things. I
Yeah.
was taking risks. I was, I was,
Heightened life in all sorts of ways.
yeah. And I look back on that and I miss that woman. I miss that woman. And even though I was in a internal shitstorm with my marriage and my stepmom and everything, I miss that woman who was like just taking risks and having fun and having adventures and just going balls to the wall, really. Because now I'm in this place of ease, which is fantastic in itself. Like this identity is wonderful too. It's my Nana era. So yeah, so grieving that other part of myself, which sounds weird because I was super unhappy for a lot of those years, but I miss who I was.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
And I wonder, I wouldn't want to be 20 again. Do I grieve like lots of choices, open to possibilities, not responsible for other people piece? Yeah, absolutely. And so maybe it's about taking pieces of those particular identities and putting them into place with who we are now and what that looks like. Because again, I keep, this is the only metaphor I can think of, but just like, you don't want to be 20 again. Like, I literally do not want to be 20 again. But there were pieces about that I miss that I would like to have more of now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And I think it's just allowing the both and, right? Missing where we were or parts of ourselves from, 10, 20, 30 years ago, but still loving where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Both can be true.
Yeah. And then you tie in legacy to all of this, right? And that's purpose, that's meaning, but I think it's also identity. I mean, I think both our moms certainly questioned the idea of legacy and purpose and all that. Like, I think, and, this is a gut punch, but I think that they were both in the midst of really seriously questioning that when they passed away. Patty passed away at a different time in her life than my mom did. But I can tell you right now, it breaks my heart when I think about it. I remember her looking at me when she first got really sick and going, how did this happen to me? This was a really religious woman that was a Christian Scientist, for God's sake, didn't go to doctors, didn't do any of that stuff. And in it, some people may say naive. I don't know if I'd go that far, really trusting in kind of her belief system to see her through, and just feeling really betrayed by that because she died of this horrible set of diseases. And I think that it really knocked her for a loop. And I will always regret, anything related to death is difficult, but I think for her, that was a particularly painful piece at the end of her life to feel like she was betrayed essentially by her beliefs. That part is, I don't like to think about that very much because that will take me not to a good place. And I'm sure your mom was, because you've talked about this, right? You've talked about she was at a point in her marriage where she just was like, oh, what, and then the cancer showed up.
And I don't honestly, and maybe she did. I have no idea because one of my regrets as when she died, and granted, I'm giving myself some slack because I was 26, but I didn't have those conversations with her about how do you feel about dying? Like, what do we need to, let's talk about the real things. At 26, I was in denial myself that she was even dying. So
Yep.
I regret that so deeply now, looking back as a 57-year-old woman. But I don't know that she had time to think about her legacy. She was 51. She got diagnosed at 48. And so I think she literally was in survival mode for those years. And yeah, I don't know. But her purpose in life was to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's undoubtedly. And she did it, and she did it well. And I know she got a lot of joy and pride from doing it well. And she did leave a that was her legacy. And yeah, she was incredible. She was wildly unhappy, I know at the end of her life, which really fucking sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you look at my mom, like, her purpose and meaning was this spiritual, peaceful kind of person that was the one that reached out to support other people that were going through stuff. It never occurred to her in a million years. Like, we all thought she was the healthy one. I think about what was going on in her mind in terms of this idea. Yeah, that like the legacy she thought she had. I mean, I can almost bet that she struggled with, oh gosh, I'm not leaving that legacy. And what does that mean? Like, I don't think that's true. I think she touched a lot of people, and that identity of hers and who she was, I think a lot of people remember, just like the students that your mom had remember who she was. But I can see a world in which that was a deep-seated betrayal. And I know she went through those feelings.
And I know she touched people because she touched me.
Oh.
And if you think about it, like, I didn't know her it's not like we were next door neighbors.
Yep.
I mean, she was one of my mom's dearest friends. But as I got older, I didn't have contact with her. I just knew my mom had contact with her. But literally, I'm getting goosebumps right now. But the communications that she and I did have in those last years, because of who she was, because she was this peaceful, wise woman who you just, you were in her presence, and you're just like, whoa, I want some of that.
Yep.
And that's why I reached out to her about, when I was questioning everything, I reached out to her about Christian Scientists.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Christian Science. I did. Because I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like,
give me some of that.
Yeah. Because I wasn't really raised. I was always just trying to figure out what I believed as far as my faith went. And then when my kids were growing up, we just dove into Christianity because that just made the most sense.
But I mean, and I think that, and I know you're probably going through this too, like, part of the grief process is this idea of mortality and what that means and all of that, right? And I think that when we have death in our life, it naturally brings up questions of legacy and purpose and all of that. Like, I remember I went through this major period after my mom passed, like the first 6 months. Like, I don't know about you, but I was ready for the sadness. Like, I knew the sadness was coming. Like, and for me, that was great, right? Like, I knew that was coming. What I was not prepared for, and what really knocked me on my ass, was the feeling like I was walking around in a fog for 6 months. Like, feeling like I couldn't string two thoughts together. Feeling like I didn't know how to do the smallest things. Feeling like I literally have no more time in my life left. I'm running out of time. That smacked me good. It took a good 6 months and some solid therapy before I felt like I could peek out of that, for sure.
Yeah, same. And I think, maybe because I didn't have therapy, but it took me like a year to even recognize myself at all after my mom died. And then I compare it to, because, my dad just passed away at 85. And it just brings up all sorts of stuff. Like you said, mortality, legacy. And it's like, what really matters? Does any of it matter? Everybody has to figure that out for themselves. They have to figure out, well, what is my purpose? What is my meaning? Right? What is my relevance? How do I want to show up in this world? And does any of it fucking matter? Right?
I remember, and I'm pretty sure this was accurate because I heard it quoted from multiple sources. So you remember David Cassidy, Partridge Family, like Heartthrob, all that.
Yeah.
multiple sources, including interviews with his wife, reported that his last words were, "So much wasted time."
Mm.
And that has always struck me, right? Here's this guy that was famous, good looking, and like that's like how he looks back on his life. And I mean, when you think about it, right, on your deathbed, nobody's going to be like, "Hey, you shopped at Kroger," or "Hey, you were a Dodgers fan." I mean, maybe they will, but it shows up for me in the worry, in the anxiety, in the what ifs, and all that. And I know I'm going to look back and be like, "Girl, why? Why did you spend so much time worrying about that?" So for me, it's like I said, with my fingers in all these holes, trying to keep everything afloat. I'm really conscious of the fact that I cannot let that suck me under and be kind of the overriding theme in my life, because it's really easy to do that, and I've been there before. And so for me, the battle is really about keeping my sense of identity and keeping my purpose, and really being very insistent that I can close the door and get in my own space, metaphorically and physically, and be okay. And trying to preserve that, trying to really, with the self-talk, being like, "Okay, it's all right that people are telling you to dim your light. It sucks, but it's okay. Like, you're still you. You still matter. You still have purpose. You still have all of it." So for me, like, this is so relevant for what I'm dealing with right now. I don't know.
I mean, I guess when you're in that situation, you just have to look at I don't even want to say the greater good, but you have to look at the bigger picture, right? It's like you're not trying to go out and find another job.
Yep.
You're on the 20-yard line, and it's like you just got to put up with the bullshit,
Mhm.
I guess.
Mhm.
Right? And that sucks. But I love how you said, it's like, okay, it's fine. They're asking me to do this. It doesn't mean this is who I am. Just because they're asking me to
Yep.
dim my light and be less than who I am,
Yep.
that is not me. And I love that you're able to recognize that. 23-year-old me
Oh,
probably wouldn't have,
hell to the no. And that's
right?
what part of what I'm saying about the 20. Like, if I had been in this situation back then, first of all, I don't know if I would have even recognized it. And second of all, I would have been like in bed for weeks. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's, let's just honor the beauty of age and the wisdom that comes with it, right? Because we know who we are. You know who you
Mhm.
are. I know who I am. And fuck society that tries to tell us,
Yeah.
get back in this box.
Well, and I think you bring up a point in terms of the wisdom of age, right? Like, I think part of that grief, I'm not sure that's the word I'd use at this point, but part of that letting go is about, well, maybe I'm not going to be this thing that I thought I was going to be when I was 20. Maybe I'm not going to be a rock star. Maybe I'm not, whatever that is, however fanciful or practical it is. Like, we all go through it, right?
Yeah.
Life is not linear, but I'm okay. And I am happy with who I am, and really getting much better at separating this idea of identity and purpose and meaning from all the noise and the bullshit. And I don't think you can do that when you're 20. I don't think, I just don't. I think it takes a while to, I really believe that, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record, but I think I'm only staying sane now because I'm much firmer in my belief of that those three things are completely separate from what I'm experiencing in other ways. Now, there's days I wake up and it's not easy to do that, right? But I feel like at least have it's like you were talking about on our trauma episode when you're like the self-talk piece, right? Like, you got a text, you were like having a panic attack, and you had to literally sit there and be like, "You're safe, you're okay, you're this, you're that." Like, there was none of that in my 20s and 30s. None of the talking
Yeah.
myself off the ledge. It was
No.
pedal to the
it's
metal,
like,
feel the feelings.
and I would have been like, had I got that text in my 20s or even my 30s, it would have been, I'm wrong. I'm bad. Something's wrong with me. Why can't I get this shit together? Instead of, no, this is, you're safe. You're fine. You will handle this. it will work out and it doesn't mean anything about you or your value.
My old boss used to talk about this idea of, like, it was really important to protect us as a team, and he was really good at that. And he used to talk about,
I
like,
love that.
yeah, he's like, "My job is to take up the drawbridge and put the alligators in the moat, and
I
we're in the
love
castle."
that.
Yes, I know, isn't it? Like, you guys are in the castle, and I am in front of the drawbridge, and I'm gonna keep adding alligators to the moat to keep everybody out, right? And I remember, a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, hey, can you do this thing?" You're like, and the words you used were, "Well, I'm up to my ass in alligators." And I like flashed back on that. And I thought, God, that's such a good metaphor, right? The world definitely feels like alligators,
Yeah.
both surrounding you, but also protecting you. Like, you have to be in this bubble. It doesn't mean you're not like looking out from the castle and seeing what's around you. But it does mean you're going to be damn careful about who you put that drawbridge down for and let in.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I love that visual.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, he used to say that all the time when we're like, "Yes, thank you."
That's so cool. And isn't that what you want in anybody in your life, whether it's
Mhm.
your boss, your
Mhm.
partner, your bestie, it's like, yep, I'm going to draw up the drawbridge. When we need to stay safe and we need to keep out the bad guys, I'm bringing that sucker up.
Yeah. Yeah, and just being more confident in your ability to do that.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn. Y'all, we're on Pinterest, and I don't know if I hope you've seen our channel, but one of the kinds of pins that we do that's really does well for us is quotes from our episodes, and we put them out there. And I would say probably the most popular one we've had was from the episode we did with my friend Amy Barber Brigant, who talked about being a breast cancer survivor. And the quote on that pin is, if you're going to lose your hair through, I'm paraphrasing, through chemo, shave it off. And it's this idea of, no, you don't get to decide when I lose my hair. I get to decide when I lose my hair. And I mean, I loved that when she said that, but it's also so apt for kind of this discussion that we're having, right? You do have a voice, and you do have a choice, and you do have a say, right? It may not be in the way that you think it is, or it may be a little different, but you can pull up the drawbridge or put it down depending on what you want to do. And they don't have to take a piece of your soul.
And I think it's important that you do have a say.
Totally.
I mean, I think it's and that's the difference between us now and us 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, or at least me, I'll speak for me. Having a say was difficult for me at the time because I didn't feel like I could make waves. I didn't feel like I was supposed to be contrary. I didn't feel like I was supposed to have a debate or a conflict with anybody. Right. And that was kind of what that trauma episode was about. It's like, I learned that conflict was bad and that you avoided it at all costs. So when I got that text that was going to end up in a potential conflict, my body freaked out. And I think, learning that we have a say and learning that over time, we build our identity, and our purpose gets to morph and grow with us. Our meaning gets to evolve and change over time, right? I just think it's incredible to just welcome in almost like the new versions of ourselves.
Yeah. I definitely think when you're younger, life happens to you a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you're older, you can see the agency in situations like that more. You are able to kind of save back a piece or most of yourself and just function in whatever. I mean, like, it sucks, but function in situations like that when you need to be like, okay, so I'm putting on a mask for this for whatever reason, right? Which is, it sounds awful, but there's certain situations where you have to do that, right? And as long as it's you, like, you're putting the drawbridge down, you're putting the mask on, you're like, I am doing this because, I need to protect myself and get through this situation that I need to be in. It's when somebody else is trying to continue my metaphor, crash the castle or make you have the mask or whatever. That's when it gets shady, right? But I think when you're 20 and you're 30, like, you don't know. I mean, yeah, you feel like you have some agency. You can work hard, you can whatever, do what you needed to go to, to get where you want, but I do think you do feel much more subject to the whims of fate.
Oh, absolutely. But I have to say, like, I look at my daughter now, she's 27, versus me at maybe not 27. I would like to think I was a little more a little more evolved than 23, but like, she doesn't put up with bullshit. And so I'm watching her date right now. So she's on the dating app. Actually, she may be off now. She gets on it and then she gets fed up with it and then she gets off it and then she gets back on. But she had a relationship for 3 years that was just, it showed her everything she does not want. It made her feel every way she does not want to feel in her partnership. And so that was great learning experience for her. So now every man that comes into her, existence, she has all this information and she's really good at, once she sees a red flag, she's
Nope.
out. She's like, I am not waiting around for them to get better, for them to figure it out. I'm not looking at their potential. It's like, if there's a red flag, she's out.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just, as a mom, it just makes me happy. And
Yeah.
I like to think she's a little better off, a little further along than I was at the time.
Yeah. I mean, and I see a lot of that in my daughter too. I mean, she's much younger than Peyton, obviously, but like, and Karen knows this, she went to the prom on Friday and like the outfit people was so fierce. I cannot even begin to tell you, but there was not a pastel in sight. There wasn't even a jewel tone in sight. It was like this leopard print dress and she just rocked it. And I love the fact that it looked great on her and just, it was so her. And she just had the best time ever. And I think back to like when I went to prom, right? And you had to have a date and like, the dress and the big hair, of course, because it was the 80s and it was not I don't remember either prom that I went to as a particularly like freeing and have fun kind of thing. It felt very much like there were boxes that you had to tick and pieces that were part of society. I mean, Jesus, we all grew up watching Pretty in Pink, for God's sakes,
I think my prom dresses were like taffeta or something, that material.
Yep, guilty. It was
What with
beautiful.
ruffles. I had lots of ruffles
Oh,
on
yeah.
my
Samesies,
on my shoulders.
and the
Fun
hair
fact.
like up to here.
Oh, yes. My mom and my grandma made both of my prom dresses.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm an idiot and got rid of them at some point in my life. So, yeah.
I don't know where mine is. That's a really good question. I wonder. Yeah, I couldn't find one that I liked. And so my mom was like, oh, I'll make it. And then I think did what I do and over promised. That was like, hello, dressmaker. Here's the pattern. Here's the material. I've cut this. Help. Like, I love her for even thinking she had the time and energy to do that. Like, there was no shame when she was like, white flag.
So, listeners, if you find yourself feeling lost or questioning your worth or wondering, what is my freaking purpose? Or, who am I now? You are not alone. It's part of it. It's part of the transitions that we all go through, and nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. But the most important thing I want you to hear is you are not alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the takeaway here, right? Normally we have this like list of takeaways and we kind of go into it, but I mean, that's it. That's the mic drop takeaway. This is not something you alone are going through. Like this is the work in midlife. It's kind of like when you're a teenager and you're trying to separate your identity from, your parents and develop this identity on your own, it's a similar thing, right? You are separating your identity from all the stuff that society says and figuring that out for yourself. I mean, it is very much like it is when you're a teenager, just with a different twist, right? And you get to write your story. I think that's also a big takeaway that I'd like to talk about. It's like you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. The end.
Yeah, and this actually might be the first time in your life where your purpose gets to be just about you.
Yes, exactly.
You're not so much taking care of people anymore. And I know we love to take care of our people. And a lot of us, our identity is really baked in to taking care of other people. Yep. And I know it's hard when our people grow up and move away. This is how I feel. Yes, I am a grandma. My grandson is going to be born next month. My
Yay!
son's son. So this is very exciting. And, we do have other grandkids, but I don't want to just be a grandma. Like, I'm not just Nana. I have so many other things I want to be. So yes, do I dive into my role as Nana? Absolutely. Is that the only part of me that is valuable? No, definitely not. So I just think, look at this time in your life as the time that you get to decide, who do I want to be? What do I want to focus my energies on? How do I want to spend my time? And who do I want to spend it with? And you get to decide, what do you want your next chapter to look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think to take it back to the David Cassidy thing about, so much wasted time, it's like you get to be purposeful about that now, which is a gift,
We do waste so much time on bullshit. Gosh, so much. But we can't help it. We're human, and that's the thing. And it's not until you get to that point where David Cassidy was and you realize, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But I think it's part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the message, right? Like with what I'm going through right now, it's just, I am really trying to consciously, like I said, I've really abused this metaphor today, but I think it's a good one. I am just consciously trying to pull up the drawbridge and get in my own head, my own space, my own life purposefully when I need to. And I'm trying to be much better at like, that's this. It's not me. And I may have to interact with this thing, but it doesn't define me. It is not my identity. It's just a thing that I need to do to get to point B. But that is not who I am. It doesn't have to define who I am. I know who I am. And then I try to remind myself of who I am. I don't get it right all the time, but just the fact that I'm able to have that dialogue with myself, like I'm fucking proud of myself. There's a lot of crap going on in my life, and the fact that I'm at a point where I can at least touch base with what's important, what's real, like, hell yeah, I'm really fucking proud of myself with everything else that's going on. And I won't always be good at that, but just the fact that I can do it, I think is a big deal,
Absolutely. It's just, we don't have to prove anything. There's nothing to prove because we're just owning who we are and who we decide we want to be, and nobody else gets a say.
Nope.
Just us.
Nope.
And I want to say something really quick before we end because I'm really excited about it, and I haven't really talked about it anyway.
Woo,
but I started a Substack.
I saw that. It's so cool. On my list.
I finally started a Substack, and it's called the Reclamation Lounge, which is also the name of my free Facebook group. But I decided to keep it that name because, and this episode just proves this point, but it's like when we get into our 40s and 50s and 60s, we have so much reclaiming to do.
Yeah.
Like we have so much we have to bring back to ourselves. Yeah. So Substack, Reclamation Lounge, check it out.
It'll be in the show notes. So speaking of show notes, head to drinkswiththegirlspodcast.com for that and more. You'll have actually our links for everything. And actually, Karen, you need to send me that link because I'll put it on the contact information on the website as well to send people to. But yeah, that's all things podcast. You can join our pod squad where you get all the episodes, links to current episodes that we're doing, some of the reviews that we've had. Hey, and that's the other thing. If y'all haven't stopped by on Apple Podcasts and left us a 5-star review, please do so. I think it's a little hard sometimes to figure it out, but you basically just, if you're on Apple Podcasts, you just scroll down where you see the reviews, just keep scrolling till you hit the bottom, and then there's like, hey, do you want to write a review? And just to be clear, 5 is good, 1 is not. So just make sure, like, give us your honest review. We hope it's 5 stars, but just make sure if you're trying to give us a 5-star review that you actually do that. And it helps us get noticed more, jacks the algorithm, all that happy stuff.
Yes. Give us those stars. So thank you for joining us. And let's just sign off by saying cheers.
Cheers.